Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the What Goes on Tour vodcast. Not so long ago, this cavernous stadium was filled with 70,000 people, and my colleague Motshidisi Mohono was here for the very first time at Allianz Stadium at Twickenham. You chose a good day, Mots. Back-to-back Rugby Championship winners.
Yeah, this was the history maker for 2025, and I'm so glad to have been a part of the 70,000 that got to witness it. A weird performance, particularly the first half, almost exactly the same actually, carbon copy to Durban, but they really came back with a flourish at the Springboks in the second half. Pity about the late tries that they let in, but a victory means we go back to back, and that's brilliant to see in this Rassie Erasmus era.
I'm glad you mentioned the first half, because you're right, it was a common theme, especially following the Eden Park test. Well, it was roughly the same at the Eden Park test. The first halves of the last three games were quite cagey, they were close. The Springboks certainly didn't get dominance, but you could argue that it was the work that they did in the first half that created the platform for them to score in the second halves of those games.
I would agree with that, and even Coach Mzwandile Stick actually spoke about that in Friday's presser as well, to say that they're all about control and dominance. That's what they want to see in the first half, and that doesn't always translate on the scoreboard, which is very frustrating if you're watching at home. But for the team in the coach's box, they're probably sitting there just thinking, tighten the areas, get control, get dominance, play in the right areas of the field, have possession, which South Africa was starved of in that first half. So they got that right again today. Frustrating to watch, yes, but for a team that knows how to win and knows what they need to do to win, it worked out handsomely.
Now, Mots, this championship has been fascinating for us broadcasters, because you're never quite sure what you're going to get. And in the early rounds of the competition, rotation was a common theme. There was, we're not going to call it chopping and changing because that sounds negative, but there really was this endeavor to put test caps into some of the less experienced players, test out new combinations. They never want to do it at the expense of a result. But in the final three rounds, consistency in selection became their friend.
It did, and it's so strange to see that. I saw a lot of tweets as well saying, oh my gosh, what's happening? Where's Rassie? Because we don't know this kind of continuity. But I think it's a really good thing that he is he's almost putting pressure on the younger guns. And allowing them to play in these high-pressure games, these games that change things and change the face of Springbok's trajectory for not only the rest of the year, but going into 2027. It's not something that is new to Rassie Erasmus. We saw in the build-up to 2023 as well, the chopping and changing, the rotation, as he calls it, and now it's almost like, how much pressure can you take? How much pressure can an Ethan Hooker handle? How much pressure can a Kanan Moody handle? How much pressure can Sasha Feinberg and Ngomezulu handle? How can Mani come off of the field and change the game yet again, lift the tempo, etc.? I'm really glad to see that, and I'm glad to see that he gave them the chance to get the team over the line in a competition like this. It would have been very, very easy to come to Twickenham and to field the old kids, the stalwarts. But he said, let's see if these young guns are able to, with things on the line, get the team over the line. And I'm glad. What do you think of that? Do you think it's back to rotation for end of year tour?
Well, I think the extraordinary thing is, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that he's creating this opportunity for the younger, so-called less experienced players, because what really stood out for me in the matches in Wellington and again in Durban, these epic victories, I was thinking about the back line that was sitting watching from the stands. Faf de Klerk, Handré Pollard. In Wellington, it was Damien de Lendi and Jesse Creel. You had Makazole Mapimpi, you had Willie Leroux. This is a World Cup winning backline, watching from the stands and seeing this incredible evolution. And also, you say putting pressure on the younger players, but it is the more experienced ones, the double World Cup winners, who are getting a very clear picture of what they need to do in order to make that 2027 Rugby World Cup.
And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. In fact, I think it's going to play to the Springbok strengths, because once there's competition in the group as well, then suddenly everybody is up for it all the time. Suddenly everybody just wants to prove and show their quality as well. So I think it's really, really great that and winning allows that. A lot of people forget that if you do not win, then you're under pressure in the next game and the game after that. But because of the results that South Africa were able to put together, maybe in this championship not so much, going a loss-win, But after that fourth win in Wellington, I think Rassie said, look, here's a chance to maybe allow these players, this group, to build and get together, build on that chemistry, build on the running lines, the silky skills that they were able to show off, and give them a little bit of continuity. I'm glad to see it. I know that it's a big change for a lot of fans, but I thought, geez, this is really, really great. And I'm sure for the younger players, the more inexperienced players, it bodes well for them as well, that they were able to be on this pitch today at Twickenham and bring home the Rugby Championship back to back.
Well, on your point of a loss creating pressure, Ellis Park, round one, seems a very, very long time ago now, doesn't it? Because there was 20 minutes of utterly sublime rugby where you thought, hang on, they could put 70 points past Australia, and then 36 unanswered points by the opposition. It was the most, I don't know what to call it, paradoxical performance that we've ever seen. But the growth from there has been apparent. I think everybody thinks, most notably the players and the coaches, they believe that a big opportunity was lost at Eden Park to break that record of the All Blacks. But they knew they had an opportunity, and it was about converting in the 22. And that became a key theme over the past 3 rounds.
And throughout the Rugby Championship, I think right from the beginning, because that first 20 minutes at Ellis Park really blew everybody's mind. I remember the third try going through, and I could barely pick my jaw off of the ground, because I had never seen a blitz like that from the Springboks ever. I don't remember us playing that kind of style. I think the issue in that game is that we didn't find the balance. We didn't find the balance between going absolute ham and then getting conservative again, going back to our attrition, going back to our strengths. And that has been what the Springboks had needed to get back to in the victories that we saw thereafter. So it's quality all round. And I don't think we'll see a blitz like that again, because balance, I think, becomes more important going through to 2027.
Let's talk about this game in this stadium. Ooh. As I said at the start, your first time here. It was meant to be a home game for Argentina in the context of the championship. It certainly didn't feel like it, did it? Just driving here through the streets of Richmond and Twickenham, there was green and gold everywhere. The fans made themselves heard. They were a little quiet, but when the scrum started to purr, they were actually cheering when scrums were awarded. They were.
I mean, coming in, we drove past the Webb Ellis pub. I think the pub is called that. South Africans were out early. We were driving 10:30 local time, and everybody is out in the green and gold already. I mean, kudos to you guys. You start very early. I wonder how you get through a match like that. That was really, really great to see. But the noise coming in from this West End by the green and gold it really felt like you're sitting at a Loftus or an Ellis Park or a Cape Town or even a PE where you can hear the reverb, even the national anthem. Dare I say, our other venues are going to have to pick up their socks, because that was a beautiful, beautiful rendition. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be standing here at Twickenham, the home of rugby, and finally to be here and to see what the Springboks did today. Extraordinary.
Well, another area in which the fans really stood up this week. I've been in London for the week, just a little midweek break away from rugby. I went to go and watch my beloved Arsenal play Champions League at the Emirates Stadium against
very, very fancy
Olympiacos.
Yes.
2-0. Didn't play very well, but they got the result, so that was important.
That matters.
And then on the Friday night, before the game, Tony Brown, Mzwandile Stick, Andre Esterhuizen, who wasn't part of the 23, and Stefan Levies, who's captain at Harlequins, club captain there. They came to a local pub in Fulham to have a fundraiser for the Chris Berger Petro Jackson Fund.
Fantastic.
And I'm delighted to say that the fans came out in their numbers and raised well north of 200,000 Rand for the fund. So just a special evening, a great panel discussion, and then the auction, and we raised a lot of money. So that's always special.
What was said in the panel that stood out for you?
Well, Stefan Levies is a very funny guy. The banter between him and his former Harlequins teammate Andre Esterhuizen was great, but the insight that Stocker and Tony Brown gave the fans was very special. We also had the egg chasers man, Tim Cocker. He was there as well.
What a lovely guy.
The honorary South African, right?
Yes, definitely.
The Englishman who comes across as a South African. So very, very special couple of evenings here in London. Just to wrap up, Mots, it's not done. This has already been a very tough year for the Springboks. 2 away test matches against New Zealand, but now a 5-match end of year tour approaches, including France and Ireland away.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much tougher.
It doesn't get much tougher than that, Maddie. But I think what they've been able to build in this Rugby Championship is going to put them in good stead for the end of year tour. The coaches look settled in what they're trying to build for 2027, but they don't look too far ahead, which I like as well. I'm interested to see the teams for those first 3 matches, because I think that will be able to tell us if they go back to a rotational system or if they want to keep an almost definite 2023. Against Japan, I think it will be a different team to the one that starts against France, and I almost think that he'll start his French 23 against Japan to get them a little battle hardened, because that France game is the one I know the coaches always earmark. Ireland too, that's going to be a very tough prospect in Dublin. I mean, when last did we win in Dublin? We need to get a W over them.
Well,
this year.
We've got lots to look forward to still in the Springbok rugby calendar. Thank you for all your positivity around the What Goes on Tour vodcast. We do so enjoy bringing these insights to you. A wonderful chat during the week with Andy Edwards and Sebastian Prim, members of the Springbok management team. And we will be back. There's a big end-of-year tour to look forward to. It's been great to be in the company of Motshidisi for her first time at Twickenham. And keep the comments coming. Send the YouTube link to all your rugby mates. And we look forward to seeing you again on What Goes on Tour.
Ciao.